let's jump into our final topic, Wade. Thunderbolts came out. We all saw it together with like the entire crew. It was pretty fun.
Yep.
Johnny J was there.
No, Johnny J was not there.
Oh, Johnny J was not there. He was against
kind of there. He was kind of there.
Colin was there. But guys, it was a really fun time at the theater. Honestly, I really enjoyed it. Let's just get right into it. Let's jump right into it. We have the Thunderbolts. You have basically all these offshoot B-list characters. You know, you've got Florence Pugh. She's depressed. She's jumping off the second tallest building in the world. She's blowing up a facility. You know, I liked how it started out, even with like the fight scenes and the shadows, kind of foreshadowing a little bit. Oh, play on words there. What was going to happen in the future to her. Also, that was actually a key scene in which it felt very throwaway, but it actually was very key to what happens. But basically, the general vibe of the movie is Valentina De Fontaine, however you say her, played by Julia Louis-Dreyfus. She's trying to tie up loose ends because she's possibly going to be impeached from her position in government. So she's trying to tie up all of her loose ends. She wants all of these different assassins that are under her payroll to kill each other in this crazy bunker. But through that process, they accidentally release Bob. Bob is a suspicious character. And then we got basically that's the formation of the Thunderbolts, you know. These characters decide to not kill each other, but they kill Taskmaster, which was a little funny. But Wade, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, I thought it was really interesting when that's how it started, was they were all sent to kill each other. And it's like, dang. Like,
yeah, it's a great way to bring them together, yeah.
What Sarah said,
I think she was actually trying to get him killed, you know. Obviously, but yeah.
Well, yeah, that's what Sarah said she really liked was in the Suicide Squad, there are a bunch of bad people who are forced together by the government. But in this movie, they were sent there to kill each other, and they literally decided themselves to stick together, which is great.
Nice.
You know, great character work.
Yeah. How'd you feel about Taskmaster biting the bullet?
Kind of a bummer because I wish I have two small complaints about the movie. I loved it otherwise. We've already actually touched on both of them. One was that Florence Pugh actually jumped off of that building. She did the stunt herself, but the way they shot it makes it look like she didn't.
Yeah.
So I think they could have gotten more creative with the camera work, and you know, because Tom Cruise does stunts like that, and you can tell it's him. But she jumps off the building, and then it just looks like it's a stunt person. But they made a big deal that it was actually her, and then it didn't look like her. Whatever. So small of a complaint. But two was that I wish they had not had Taskmaster talk, because in the final 10 seconds before she died, they finally made her interesting. You know?
Yeah, she's like, I'm not here for you, or whatever, right?
To me, because when I saw that, I got excited. I was like, good, she can talk. She's going to be snarky. This is what we've been waiting for, you know? I was like, they were hiding something about her, and it's this, that she talks. She's in the movie, right? And then they kill her. So I don't think I was a fan of that. I think if they were going to one-off kill her, you don't show the actress's face. You don't.
It is annoying because they built her up so high in Black Widow to be this massive villain, and then it's like, nope, she doesn't matter whatsoever. So whatever. I think it is kind of also Marvel kind of like saying out with the old a little bit.
Well, so
that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Literally, you know, you're right, because Jake Schreier, the director, said in an interview about the Taskmaster's death. He asked Marvel, because Taskmaster had been in earlier scripts of the movie, but in this final script that pretty much was what we saw, she wasn't in it at all. And then so he went to Kevin Feige, and he was like, all right, can I have a character to kill in the bunker? Like, give me someone. I want someone to die quickly in the bunker. And that's who he gave him. So that was truly them saying, we have no plans for Taskmaster, at least this version. So you got to respect that they know their direction and said, "Yep, you can have her back, and you can kill the character."
Yeah, it was cool to see.
I was just going to say the suit tech still exists. You know, the tech is what teaches her. You know, so
yeah,
maybe someone else can put it on.
We need a comic accurate version. That would be sweet.
Yep.
We get to see some of Bob's powers. He touches Florence Pugh. He touches John Walker. He kind of shows them their worst moment, their lowest moment. I'm assuming that's kind of a crazy power skill,
like a dark part of their mind.
Yeah. And then one of the funniest scenes, them trying to get up the elevator shaft, but they're like, they're doing the class. It just felt like a classic like comedy action type thing to happen, where it's like they have to like hold on to each other as they're going up this crazy super high shaft. I thought that was awesome.
Classic misadventure kind of stuff, really.
Yes, yeah. I actually, it's kind of weird. I've been getting a lot of like suggested videos about John Walker, like on Instagram and stuff, and I'm like, man, they kind of redeemed his character a little bit. We gotta talk about him a little bit.
He was so redeemed for me in this, and I didn't like hate him before, but now I'm like all in. Like I wasn't gonna collect the Falcon and Winter Soldier Steelbook because I thought that show was just whatever.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, I think I need to. I think I want to because, yeah, John Walker is really good.
Like they were showing like there's a clip from Falcon and the Winter Soldier where he's like being interviewed and he's like talking about how great he is and everything, and I'm like, oh my gosh! And then they bring him to this such low point, but also he's like a jerk throughout this movie too. So he's like purposefully being a jerk.
Yeah, and that's kind of him. You know what I mean? He's kind of coping. He's being a jerk. He's like, whatever, I'm cool, but really, he's really hurting deep down. My favorite moment with Walker's character, and this is when I finally felt like you guys was like, was when, the whole time he was like, yeah, I've got my family. I'm going home to a wife and kids. What do you have,
Yeah.
Obviously that's what he's playing to himself in his mind. What do you have? But then Bucky reveals, he has them all tied up, which is hilarious too. Bucky reveals, he's like, yeah, Walker's wife left him, blah, blah, blah. And
took the kid.
They didn't play it for laughs. Instead, Yelena kind of looked at him and was like, I get it. You know what I mean?
And
like
he didn't say one. He didn't say one word.
Yeah, this guy
just let that moment
too,
sit.
Like this guy is going through it just like the rest of us, and he's not like you're lying or whatever. He's just like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Just that's so human to be exposed like that, and I think once he was able to drop his "I'm awesome" facade after that moment, and really admit that he, like all the other people in this movie, had some serious issues. Dude, what awesome character work with honestly not a lot of screenplay and just a lot of acting. Really good stuff.
Yeah. And there's one specific scene where they're like, he's like not being a jerk, and they're like, "What? Like, why aren't you being a jerk?" And he's like, "Oh, I'll step it up a little bit or whatever." And then he makes a comment about like how like I don't know. I thought it was really good, but they get out of the bunker. They fight some assassins because Val they know that they escaped. Obviously, we see some of Bob's skill sets. Flying, bulletproof. Who is this guy? They escape. I love how Red Guardian, though. Obviously we didn't talk about Red Guardian's relationship with Florence Pugh's character before they get in the bunker. She's talking to him how she's like, sad and alone and whatever. And he's just all about the glory days. He's watching videos of like Mother Russia, how like he's being honored in this parade. He's like, get out of the way. Like somebody's blocking him on the camera shot or whatever. So good.
Yeah, he's like,
and I love how he's he's driving the limo for Val. He's like, so he kind of figures out, pieces together what's happening, and he drives.
He takes the limo out to the desert.
Picks them up. That was one of the best scenes in this movie. Was him picking them up, him like screaming, and then also we got to talk about Bucky's introduction into this movie. Obviously, Senator Bucky now, all that stuff. I was kind of like, about all that, but so was Bucky was feeling the same way about it. So I don't know if they wrote themselves into a weird corner with the previous Captain America Brave New World where they made him a senator. I don't know, but then immediately he's like,
scene in Brave New World because of his story.
Because of this? Oh, okay.
Yeah. That felt like that was one of those things they tacked on.
Yeah, okay. So Bucky like tracks them down, but his introduction, how did you guys feel about seeing Bucky like actually being sick, like shooting the gun with the freaking,
Dude,
bombs and stuff, and
Avengers level moment? It felt like, like an Avengers intro, which, we'll
yeah,
get to that, but
it felt like we were back.
Dang, we're back. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it felt like Marvel was back a little bit there.
Which honestly, I was not expecting to feel like that epicness, just because we haven't felt it in forever. But
Yeah.
it was great to feel it when he like first comes and blows up the
And-
two trucks. And
What I loved about that scene too, and we talked about this after we saw the movie. That scene was kind of in like all the trailers. It was kind of a scene that we knew was going to happen at one point. Yet it was so well done that it was still hype to watch it happen.
Yeah, it felt explosive, Yeah, for sure.
that was how I felt actually about Red Guardian and his jokes, like from the trailer. I was like, these are gonna be so stupid, just bad jokes, just not funny.
But the delivery in the moment
deliveries were
is so much
funny.
better.
It was
The
so
delivery-
good.
Yeah. What else do we got? What else happens? So they get Bucky ties them up, because he thinks they're just awful assassins, which they are. But he kind of decides to let them go, and he's like, let's team up, let's go and take on Val because she's captured Bob. She's the one who's bought Avengers Tower. She's made it Sentry's Watchtower, which is from the comics, which is very interesting.
Yeah,
That's
cool.
what they
were,
chose to
building
do.
the Watchtower thing. Yeah.
Yeah, the weird black edges and stuff. That's from the comics, I think. So yeah, Sentry. They plow right into the building. They take on Val, but of course she's got Bob captured. He's got this new suit, but also, as we know, the super soldier serum amplifies what's already there. If you know it from Captain America, even with U.S. Soldier. He's got U.S. agent. Sorry, Sentry's got some sort of schizophrenia, or he's got some major problems. He's not necessarily a bad guy, but he's got some serious issues. So it kind of amplifies that.
Yeah, they were testing this new serum on like random people, and most of them were dying. But Bob, of course, ends up.
Or he's a drug addict. Yeah,
right, or something. But it ends up working on him. And it's probably not their first choice, but
yeah,
with all this trauma.
I did think it was interesting when they said, we found you running around in, Southeast Asia, and that's when we started testing it on you. Because that reminded me of the one point that originally Steven Yeun was going to play this character. And, dude, Bill Pullman was awesome. He owned it, but I think Steven Yeun would have crushed it too.
Either or.
So that's something that kind of was interesting to me, and but I think it added to his character. It made it seem like he was struggling, so he decided to travel the world. But that was just a little anecdote that I remembered when I was watching.
Yeah, that's cool.
How cool Steven Yeun probably would have been.
Which just is a weird note. It is Lewis Pullman. It's Bill Pullman's son.
Oh yeah, did I say yeah?
You said Bill, but iconic actor, Spaceballs. So pretty cool to see him. Yep, Independence Day. Cool to see him. But he's playing Bob for the second time.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Top Gun Maverick, he was just Bob as well, which is so funny.
Yeah. Turns out, and I really liked seeing his skill set. He takes out all of them like it's nothing. Dude, that was a cool scene.
It was scary, honestly. It was fun.
Yeah. And takes them out, so where they run away, which we've never seen that in a Marvel movie before. I feel like
I love that they just ran away. They were like,
they're like, we're out of here. We gotta go. We haven't seen that. I feel like so that was pretty good.
That's what causes Florence Pugh or what's her name?
Yes.
It causes her to like call all of them out and herself, and then
Yelena,
break down. Yelena, basically
break
down.
Which
at that point.
That was my favorite part of the movie. Her breaking down and Red Guardian chasing after her and being like, you see all these problems that you have, but when I look at you, I don't see those. I see your strengths, And that was really emotional.
Just with that. Dang.
That was really emotional, dude. And
it was a really like tender father-daughter scene, and the relationship was never anything normal. And he's so good intentioned but bad at it.
Yes.
And you remember from Black Widow, she was the only one who thought that the family was real because she was young enough when she was thrown into it. Obviously the parents were agents, and Natasha was old enough to know things weren't really, real. But to her, he's her dad, And she hasn't.
That's why he's like, I didn't think you would want me. He's like, I didn't think you would actually want me because like it wasn't real. But he actually does love her, and so that is a cool detail as well. The name was her soccer team. They kind of retcon the comic origin where it is named after Thunderbolt Ross. But in this, it's more, name it after the soccer team that she was on when she was a little kid. So that's fun. But yeah, I really, really liked that. That was a really good scene. And this prompts her really to take leadership, of the team a little bit here. When Bob goes off the rails, he tries to kill Val even. He's like, why would a god answer to anybody? He starts thinking these things through, but also it's a little bit of his dark side coming through, and he doesn't even remember these things that he's saying, apparently, because he's got schizophrenia or something, and he becomes the Void, which they've been referencing the whole movie. This like just all black, white eyes. I liked the character design. How'd you guys feel about the Void?
Terrifying. Honestly.
Yeah, really freaky. Really good stuff.
It was fun to watch. It was like, it really felt like Marvel was back, like with villain and with,
a really
good
unique
guy turned villain. And
cool, yeah.
So he just starts like blipping people, like turning them to dust, black shadows basically, and then the whole town, which was wild. And then Yelena just walks right into it, kind of.
Dude, the little girl.
Oh my gosh! Our theater, everybody was gasping, like, like it was wild.
That was pretty gutsy to do.
Yeah,
yeah. Dang.
And then, man, even Red Guardian's reaction to Yelena going into the thing, I was like, "Geez, Louise, this movie is getting me," and I was not expecting it to get me. You know what I mean? But yeah, it takes her to her darkest moment. Then she finally finds Bob, which this is my one complaint. I would have liked to see everybody else's. Like, they didn't really develop Ghost really at all. She's just kind of a one, which we did get her backstory a lot in Ant-Man and the Wasp. But I would have liked to see, like, all of them, like, even Red Guardian's, like, darkest moment, just to fully dive deep. Even we saw John Walker's, but even Bucky, because Bucky's such a main player in the MCU. Maybe to see a mission he hadn't seen before would have been really cool. Like something he wouldn't have remembered. That would have been kind of wild, because they all go in after her to help her take on. They don't know if she's dead or not, or if this does take you to a different reality of some sort. Yeah. So how'd you guys feel about that? Yeah.
It says a lot about the quality of the movie that you're able to say, I really think I would enjoy knowing more about the characters. And you're not saying it in a way like, oh yeah, it was good, but if they'd done this, it would have been better. But more like, this was so good and I want more. That's when you know that you're thinking about something good.
For sure.
Yeah.
Wait.
Well, one thing about this scene, with them jumping between the bunch of like, trauma events and stuff, I think it could have been really bad, like, and just weird, artsy almost. But the way they did it was actually like really intriguing, and you felt the weight of every single room that they were in. Even Bob's quiet room, but obviously downstairs his parents are fighting and stuff, and blaming him, and it's just like, dang, dude, just like tough stuff to watch.
And Yelena killing her little childhood friend as like a initiation almost is like, oh gosh, over and over again though. Pretty wild. But I do love how they all come in after her. Red Guardian rips a pillow. They're all like actually fighting stuff, and he just rips a pillow. So good. His character, oh man, so good. I do love how throughout
that could be like one note and like not funny, but it's just played with and written with such passion that everything works.
And I love how throughout he's like, I see the makings of a team here. He just really wants a team, He really wants to do something. So good.
Avengers.
Yeah.
Oh man, we got to talk about that. And then they save the day, and this was kind of maybe a complaint for some people. They save the day with a hug. They hug Sentry. They give him a big group hug.
That's what makes the movie. I can't believe that's a complaint.
I like it.
Him? Yeah, you can't punch this guy,
You can't stop him,
I love that there's
true.
no sky beam, that there's no like super trap, you know what I mean? But instead they just have to show him that he's loved, And and even Walker, who's just been belittling him the whole movie, has to come in and hold him, and it just awesome stuff. Awesome
He's
stuff.
like, what did he say? We're here for you, Bobby, or something. He's been calling him Bobby the whole movie or something. It's like, geez, Louise.
Like I said, I think that whole scene could have been really cheesy, but the way they did it was just very powerful, honestly.
Yeah, really cool. And as humans, we heal together, and so that's what it took. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, that's kind of the
positive
end.
Messages from this group of killers, and
yeah. And they go
and bad guys.
It felt like old Marvel with like the government's involved. You know what I mean? But it's not uberly political. They really balance the themes well. There's a good message. It's not like I just felt like it was a really good, all well-rounded movie. But let's get into the end here, guys. We got Val is like pretending to be in trouble. She's like, "Oh no, what am I gonna do?" And then the big press conference revealing this has been her plan all along. She wants to just be the new in charge of the new heroes. She wanted Sentry to be this new hero. She wants the new Avengers to be under her control. I
don't know if her plan all along was this group.
Yeah.
No. but she sees
it really well and really quick. Yeah. She was like, yeah. Right. This is what I've been working on.
Yeah, crazy. I do think it's weird there's no ramifications for Bob. I guess they don't know who did it. They don't know who the Void is.
But technically nothing happened because all the people came back.
Yeah. Oh, true. Yeah. I don't know. I guess property
just
damage,
like a little bit of destruction. Yeah, destruction to the city. But
yeah, so we have the new Avengers, and then I love how they address it in the credits, like not my Avengers, B-Vengers, saying like how they're crap. They're like crappy. Who's Bob? Who are these people?
Team. Yeah,
that's so good.
And I love that too. That they're being overt about it. Like they're like being like, look, guys, we get it. There's like 3 idiot super soldiers. You know what I mean? Like another Black Widow. Like we get it. They suck. Like that's the point. And that's kind of the point of the movie too. Is they're all so messed up, but they're gonna be a team anyways.
And that's the thing. They suck. But their characters are really good. They're really laid out well in this movie. Maybe Ghost is the most underutilized, I would say. She's kind of just more so a trick where she can disappear. She can go through walls.
Yeah, hopefully,
and stuff, but
hopefully in future stuff they can develop a little more. But
for sure.
But I'm glad she was there because the chemistry between, specifically between Ghost, U.S. Agent, and Yelena was ridiculous. It was like 3 siblings who hadn't seen each other in years. Just ridiculous chemistry between the 3 of them. And that's you add in the dad and you add in the awkward guy. It's perfect. Great scene.
So good. Yeah. And I was thinking that throughout. I was like, man, I really wish like Zemo was here or even Abomination, because I feel like those characters are Thunderbolts in the comics, I think. Mm-hmm. I know Zemo is. Zemo starts the Thunderbolts in the comics.
The OG,
but I was like, man, there's just not room for them. They really honed in on the characters that we had. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I really enjoyed it. Let's get into the post-credit scenes. We get the Wheaties box. Finally, the Thunderbolts are on the Wheaties box. You get and we'll talk about this in a second.
Get into this one.
David Harbour is shaved. He's got his mustache. He's like trying to get a woman to buy the Wheaties. I thought it was a pretty funny post-credit scene.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I said, his humor landing consistently is such a benefit to the movie.
It is.
Everything he does is funny and makes sense. And yeah.
And then the new Avengers are in their watchtower, but we get a reveal that Sam Wilson is actually suing them for the rights of the name The Avengers, because off screen he has formed his own Avengers, which I feel like that should have been the end credit scene of his movie, but we'll get into that. But very interesting. You get all their new costumes, which is cool.
I think before we go on, I think we do have a comment.
What?
How's it going, guys? From Travis.
We're doing good, bro. Yeah. We're talking about Thunderbolts. So thanks for being on, dude.
He said it is bizarre how many Captain America guys are running around.
Yeah, there's like 3 on the Thunderbolts on the Avengers.
Wild. Travis, thanks for being here, man. Hope you enjoyed
There's two
the
Falcons. There's three, 4
Yeah.
Caps. It's hilarious.
Black
Let's
Widows.
get into this.
It's like basically Winter Soldiers all over the place.
Yeah, yeah. We also have this spaceship coming in. They're saying there's some sort of space crisis going on, which we don't really know what that means. But also that this spaceship just comes in, they zoom in on it. You get the Four logo. So I guess this kind of spoils Fantastic Four a little bit. That somehow they're going to end up in our 616 universe. So very interesting. This is definitely building up to Doomsday. This is also building up to some sort of like New Avengers versus Sam Wilson's Avengers, some sort of clashing going on, but also Fantastic Four. So, guys, how'd you feel about it?
Something that's interesting is that this end credit scene, this one specifically, was directed by Joe and Anthony Russo on the set of Doomsday. They
Like
shot
3
it
weeks
4
ago.
weeks ago. Yeah.
4 weeks ago, yeah.
It was
Are
the
you
first,
serious?
It was the first
Yes.
thing they shot when the cast came together. So this end credit scene is really our first look at the visual style and what Doomsday is going to be like. So I love the new. That's why you could tell there were new costumes.
Yep.
And all of that. Their new Avengers outfits look great. I'm not sure until I bet they're not really spoiling Fantastic Four. I wouldn't be surprised if Fantastic Four leave their universe during the movie to try to learn something and then go back.
Maybe.
And I bet that would be because right now it seems like, hey, we'll try to stop. Hey, we couldn't. We left. That seems like that's going to be everything. I bet there's something else going on.
People are thinking like Galactus blew up their universe and they're just escaping.
But then again, I think we can go back to a pod maybe about 4 weeks ago where I said there's something going on with Taskmaster. She doesn't die in the beginning of the movie. So
you tried that.
Yeah. But yeah, this was really cool. I really like
comments here.
Let's jump into them, Wade.
Just subscribe, says Travis. Zemo
Thanks,
would have
bro.
been a cool post credits, revealing he was behind the Thunderbolts and comes out as the leader of his own Avengers group.
That would have been wild.
We could do some Dark Avengers, because that's certainly precedent for that. Yeah, I don't know how he'd be behind it, but I think Zemo's too interesting and too smart to leave him on the raft forever. Yeah, speaking of the raft, he says, I think with all of the people on the raft, something is going to happen, resulting in them all being freed and having their own team of sorts. Now that's something. Yeah. There's some precedent for that in the comics too, where characters in the raft. I think there was like a portal or something. Like if there were really bad people in the raft, they could put them in like what do they call it in Marvel? Like the negative zone.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, yeah. They put Daredevil in it in Civil War. Yeah, the negative zone or whatever it's called.
Yeah, so they put people in the negative zone in the raft and then in the negative zone, and that's actually how a character who's a Guardians of the Galaxy member named Jack Flag. He was a vigilante and he got arrested and put in the raft, and then from the raft he got put in the negative zone and he got all mixed up in that stuff and he became a member of Guardians of the Galaxy. I always thought he'd be a good addition to the team, and it's never something they really got right for. But yeah, there's it'd be cool if they could work in something with everybody on the raft. I mean, who's
Red
there
Hulk,
right now?
Leader.
Trish Walker from Jessica Jones. Remember that they sent her to the raft at the end of Jessica Jones?
They're still gonna go with that though.
Yeah.
You got the leader.
Zemo.
Maybe Abomination, Zemo. There's gonna be some sort of
quite a few, yeah.
Or they're desperate enough to let them go, to let them help. That's what I think. I think they're going to be desperate enough to try to stop Doom.
So they'll be like the real Thunderbolts, maybe?
I don't know.
That'd be cool.
We will see. That would be wild.
So we got the
Thanks,
new
Travis.
Avengers,
Yeah,
Sam Wilson's Avengers, and then the Thunderbolts.
Who knows? We will see. The Dark Avengers, so to speak. But yeah, am I missing anything else on the little bit of this movie? Any final theories about what we're gonna be seeing in Doomsday, guys?
That end credit scene had Bob, and he was just sitting there, what was that about?
Dude, they're gonna tell Bob, Bob, you got to kill everybody.
They're trying
Doom
not
comes,
to get him to go back to his powers.
Yeah, but they're definitely gonna use him in some capacity for Doom. You know what I mean? Or he's gonna be like Hulk, and he's like, no, I don't want to. You know, I don't know, like Hulk in Infinity War. I don't know, but I can see. You know, one of those main names was Chris Hemsworth in the chair reveal. So I feel like Thor is gonna be a main player with Captain America, Sam Wilson. I feel like.
Yeah, I think Thor is definitely going to be a main character in the movie, which is good.
Yes, that should have been the end credit scene. Was like him recruiting Thor. That would have been cool.
Being like, dude, yeah, we need some Avengers.
Yeah, we do. Wait, let's read this next one.
Yeah, another comment. One route with Zemo is we haven't seen him react to T'Challa's death, who saved his life, having Zemo sent to Wakanda, having to protect T'Challa's son in an invasion out of respect. Could be cool. Yeah, that could be cool.
Oh, that is a great idea. Dang. Yeah,
that would connect a whole lot back.
Because he really respected T'Challa, too. He said, you're a good man. I'm sorry I had to kill your father. You know, he called him, like, dutiful. He was like, you know, sorry this happened to you, man. Before he tried to kill himself. Or unalive himself.
Civil War is underrated. Such a good movie. Jeez.